Rich Steves here on the floor at ITEXPO Austin 2012. Joining me today at the Sagemcom booth we have
Sébastien Boislaving. I'm VP of Technology at Sagemcom.
Great, thanks for talking to us today. Why don't you show us what you've brought to show at ITEXPO?
Yeah, so today I'm going to do a demonstration of our new cloud application, which is called Xmedia's Fax Cloud. And so we're going to go through. So basically we already have an account that is set up. So it's a cloud fax application. We can provision customers in terms of seconds, just need to go and create their account. And after that they can go and they pretty much can self-manage their enterprise fax solution directly into a cloud platform. So here we see this is our main dashboard that we have, where we can see our inbound, outbound fax and our queues. And here from there an administrator can do all the management that he needs to provision his users and configure all the systems. So obviously we can manage users that are going to be allowed into the account to fax, and I can also control the other important thing into a cloud faxing system, the fax number that we have. And this is a very simple yet powerful interface to manage your faxing. So I'm just going to go and basically go through the simple way to basically provision a user on the platform. So basically we just type in the email address of the user we want to sign up in. If I would have a list of 100 email addresses, I just paste them in, and I'm going to invite everybody into the fax system. So I can have all my users up and running faxing within minutes. I'm also checking in the auto-assigned fax number. So basically the system will automatically assign the first available fax number to that user. So now we can see that my invitation has been sent to the user. If I go to the email box of that user, I receive an invitation. I can go. It tells me, hey, you've been invited to your corporate fax service. Then I click on the invitation as a user, very simply fill in the information, set up my password. Go, my name, John Smith. Well, not really my name, but it's
close enough?
Yeah, exactly. Acme Corp. Corp, yes. Excellent, my user is ready to go. Created my user, now I'm ready to use the fax system. I can go on and log in and see the interface. Oh, just received an email. So let's go back to that email. Basically confirming that the account has been created. I can see here that I've been assigned a fax number, so that fax number is active for me. I can start using it, giving to everybody. I can receive fax on that number. If I go back to the interface, so I get pretty much the same interface as we've seen before for the administrator. Notably here, we don't see the management menu for the account. So as a user, I can only manage myself, my profile and everything, and I'm good to go. I can send and receive faxes. To just show the different ways we can send and receive faxes, and it's very flexible. So one of the things with that platform is we really wanted to provide all the flexibility that you usually get from an enterprise fax server that you deploy on premise, and basically have all those features into the cloud. So we're going to go through a little bit the flexibility that we have to send and receive faxes. So I'm going to log in as my administrator. And obviously the easiest way to send a fax is simply to go to my web interface, and I just start typing. I see John Smith, his number, just type in sending via the web. Please sign and fax back. All right, I'm gonna attach a document. Let me go, desktop, NDA, excellent. Submit, and I have the fax, so it's a 5-page fax, it's been queued, it's currently sending. So right now that fax is already sending. So that's one way to send faxes, very easy from the web. I can also go into an email account. Let me see, I can just search my contact, already configured. I'm going to send to Kurt and to John Smith. All right, so I already configured. So to send a fax via the email, I just have to have fax number at our service domain, xmedius.com, so I can pre-configure my, again, I'm gonna configure sending via email, very easy. Attach a document. There we go. Send. And go back. And almost immediately. All right, now they're queued and they're going to be sending to both faxes. So we can see that it created 2 faxes because I sent it to 2 different recipients. If I want more powerful, I can go and use our send fax client directly on Windows. So if I go and I have a document that I want to fax, once we have installed our Windows client, I can go directly into Word, go to print. I'm going to select my Xmedius fax printer, and it's going to start our full-blown client application. That's more for power user. I can preview the fax that I'm going to be sending. I can choose recipient. So again, I'm going to choose John Smith. All right. And all this is done through our cloud application. So you download our client, it's just boom, you can fax. Right, let's do that. I'm gonna add a comment. In this case, we do it directly into the application. Please sign and fax back. And there we go, submitting. It's going to be sent, it's going to go into the queue. So this is our full web client. So we have integration, phone book integration. You can have database of users. You can do, so if you're a power user and you're faxing a lot every day, that's really an interface that is very powerful to manage your faxing. If your faxing needs is a little lighter, we also have our web fax composer. So it's the same thing, you print the document, but instead of starting a Windows application, it actually uploads the document directly into the web interface. So again, it's light client, so you don't have to install anything beyond the printer driver. And again, I'm gonna send that to John. Web fax composer. There we go. As easy as that. If I go, I can look. I can see that most faxes, so some are just starting. I can see the progress. Some are at 2 page on 5. Here, this one is just completed. If I could go, now I see that it's in the outbound history. It's been moved out, obviously, of the sending queue. I can go and look at the fax that I just sent. I'm gonna have a preview, actually, of what I sent. So very easy to look at it directly from the web. I don't need to download it. I could download also the PDF. And now I see my PDF directly into my browser. If I prefer, I can print it from there and everything. Very easy to use. Now we can see that the fax has been sent. I've seen a notification. So if I go back to my email account, I can see that I already received some faxes. So I can see that I received faxes from this number to my number, the number that was assigned to me. I can see the fax here, and I have a PDF attachment, and again, that I can open and see the fax. So very, very easy to send and receive faxes. So we made it as much flexible as possible so the users can really choose the way they want to send and receive their faxes. If I log out now and I go, obviously, I can log in back into my user that is receiving faxes. And obviously, not only you receive them in your email box, but you also have a copy into the web and you can keep those. So one of the features is where we can keep the history of faxes for up to 7 years, depending on the selection. So for compliancy purposes, we can retain the faxes so that if you receive a financial transaction, you can go back to that transaction even years after.
Well, great. It sounds like it's really easy to use and there's a lot of flexibility there.
Absolutely. If we look now, because we've seen pretty much how it is for the user to send and receive faxes, we can look a little bit at the capabilities that there is in terms of configuration. So for the administrator, one of the things is I can go and monitor all the transaction on the system. So I can see all the faxes that has been sent by all the users and see if there is a problem and address it. And same thing for the fax that has been sent and received. Also, if I go back in settings, we have a bunch of configurations. So for example, fax profile, you can define different profiles that will be assigned to groups of users, and you can define how their faxing is going to be done. So which cover sheet they're going to be using, the list of cover sheets that are available to those users, the corporate information that will appear on the cover sheet, public phone books that those users would be able to access, billing codes, options, notifications, name it. So you can really configure it the way you want, the way you need your user to receive their faxes. You can also configure our routing table. Obviously, as you can see, we have already a management that does like the auto assignment of fax number for users. But if you would have like advanced application, you could add direct rules. And we have, for example, barcode routing. So you could enter here a specific barcode, and for that specific faxes that have that barcode, you could route it to an application. So we also support like application process fax handling, and we also have OCR routing and barcode routing.
So the features that came with release 7 are on here.
Absolutely, everything is there. Obviously, there is some challenge of being in the cloud, and we didn't stop at being, oh, we're in the cloud, well, tough luck, we can't do that. So, for example, when you have a corporate fax server, you can print faxes to printers within your enterprise network. But now that our application is in the cloud, we don't have access to your printer. But we did add the capability, even if we don't have directly access to the printer, we added some capability to print fax automatically, inbound fax. So either you can use SMTP by sending an email to the printer. Some printers support receiving email and then printing those emails, so you can do that. And we also support Google Cloud Printing, which basically allow you to print cloud, do cloud printing, and basically send your faxes to any printer to your corporation through the cloud printing service of Google. Obviously, same thing. If you have a fax server in your company, you can drop inbound faxes, for example, into folders that can be then picked up by applications to do back-end processing. In the cloud, we have the same equivalent functionality, but instead of dropping it to a local folder, which is not possible, we can do it via FTP, SFTP. So we can go and drop the file, all inbound faxes, to FTP servers that then can be picked up by back-end applications. And lastly, and I think probably one of the shining part of our software is we have the capability on premise to run Python script, and we didn't lose that in the cloud. So it's possible to configure a Python script that would do pretty much anything, right? So we can connect to a database, we can connect to web services, and we can implement whatever is required for your organization in terms of processing the faxes. So it's pretty flexible on that side. And you can also configure your notifications. So if you don't like the default notifications that we created for the service, you can go and modify all the email notifications. So pretty flexible, pretty powerful, and really what we wanted to do is you lose nothing. So you go from premise to our cloud application, you don't lose anything. We also built into the product Active Directory synchronization. So it's possible if you don't want to provision your users manually from within the application, it's possible to run a script within your network that will upload all Active Directory users that you select into the cloud fax service, and whenever you make a modification to that users, it's going to be propagated to the cloud system. So that makes it a zero effort in terms of management to manage your cloud once you set up your Active Directory synchronization.
Well, thank you so much for the detailed explanation and the drive-through of that, and we appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you.